Okay, right, here we are, week 159. Let me just wet my whistle quick. Okay, so been a reasonably good week. Yeah, the main thing that happened this week is I came in here, can't remember, I think it was Sunday. We had really bad rain on Saturday night, and because of the way my garden is situated, I don't think you can see that, but behind me there's like a drop down, which is how I get in and out of my fish room. So it's about 5 foot, it goes out into my garden, but the garden slopes down towards it. So if it rains a lot, sometimes the groundwater percolates up through the floor. I've tanked the floor, and it does 99% of that water, stops it from getting in. But if it's a really heavy rainfall, sometimes I get just like a couple of mil of water in there. So I came in the morning, I noticed water on the floor. So I was like, oh, okay, it's just come up in the night. When I was up here, when I looked down, I could see the water just moving slightly, like the surface of the puddle. I thought it's weird. So I thought first it was just more water slowly seeping up through the floor. And then I went down to investigate. I was like, something weird, I haven't seen that before. And I realised that I had a leak in the pipe. So I was like, so it was just constantly dripping off of the elbow of one of the pipes down there. So I tasted the water and it was salt water. So I was like, oh God, what's going on here? And it looked like it was coming off of that elbow on the feed to my skimmer pump there. So that comes up from the sump. It's powered by one of the Abyss pumps, and it comes up and it feeds the skimmer, and it feeds the UV, and it feeds something else. I can't remember. Oh, it also feeds my little tank down there. So I was like, oh no, right on the bend, right just as it comes through the floor. And it was dripping all over the electrics. So I got all the plugs down there on the wall. Fortunately, I've got waterproof like plug sockets. So they've got like a little, it's like an O-ring, I guess. It's like a ceiling ring. The trouble is, because most of the stuff you buy for this hobby is bodged up, and they can't be bothered to put proper plugs on, and so you have to have them stupid adapters. So I can't shut most of them because they stick out too far. So they were open, but fortunately it has like a lip around it, so the water was hitting the top of the plugs and dripping around. But I think the drip loops probably saved me from any major disasters as well. But it was dripping a lot. It was dripping, quick, and I was like, shit. Yeah, so I was like, I don't understand. That plumbing's been there for 3 years. It's all poly welded. I mean, and then when I looked, because I thought initially it was the elbow, and then I looked at the floor above, it was wet, and I was like, well, it's clearly coming from above. And then it was, so immediately above the floor is a union. So I just literally tightened the union, like just literally moved it, I don't know, 10 mil, nipped it up, stop. And you just go, why did that happen? How did it suddenly start leaking after 3 years? So I got no answers really. The only possible explanation is that pump down this end, the Pantaray pump down this end, keeps losing the magnet off the back. I think it's my urchin. I've got a big urchin, it's like the size of a cricket ball now, and it likes to go up and it wedges itself into that corner of the tank and it knocks the power head off. And then the little magnet on the back obviously drops. So if that dropped down and possibly hit that union, I don't know, so it's like clutching at straws really, isn't it? But yeah, so fortunately it was the kind of best case scenario, because I thought when I first saw it, I thought, oh, that's my day. I'm going to end up chopping out plumbing and renewing it all. But fortunately, I just nipped up the union and it fixed it. And I was like, wow, it went a lot better than it could have. So that was that. That's one of those things, though, isn't it? I mean, in my head, I think I went to bed last night when I shut the fish room door, obviously you have a quick check. You listen to make sure everything sounds as you want it to sound, and I have a quick look just to make sure there's nothing dripping, or just a visual check, and it was perfect. And you just think, if I'd have just gone off on a 2-week holiday and that would have started dripping. These are the things you just think, it's always on a knife edge sometimes, isn't it? Yeah, so anyway, so that's that done. So the leak is now sorted. Hopefully it won't happen again. The other thing I've done is, if you look there, so I decided yesterday to make an attempt to start clearing out some of the stuff in the overflow shed for the fish room. So I don't have a lot of room in this fish room, as I said before. It's an old 1930s brick-built garage, which was probably meant to house like an old Anglia or a very small car from the 40s. And I've got a very large tank in it, so I don't have loads of room. So all of the paraphernalia that you get in a lot of empty boxes as well, I bought a shed and I stacked them all in there. And then I had a friend who came out of the hobby. He may get back in it, and I've got all of his stuff in there as well. So I thought I might have an attempt at just clearing out the stuff which can be chucked, because there's loads of things in here that just out of date, media, fish food, and just stuff that is going to be no good. So I did actually get 2 black bags of stuff, and then it started raining, so I just dumped it all back in and did what everyone does. I'll sort that out later, so that'll sit there for I don't know how many more months now. I did actually make these, which are 2 little like dosing lines for my A and K elements, because I was using this just little silica. I think this is Red Sea, or maybe it's D&D, I can't remember. And I just poke them in the container. But what I've noticed was that, I'm not sure if it floats, but one of them had curled up anyway, and so it wasn't even in the liquid. So I've now got one of those agents, like trace elements, is probably 100 ml lower than the other one, which means I've only been dosing one lot as well, which makes me think. But I'll see how the ICP comes back, but I don't know how long it's been going on. So I thought, right, I will make those hard line dosing lines, because I found some bulkheads in the shed, like RO tubing. So I just drilled to 2 caps, and I put a little bit of silicone on the end just to get right down to the bottom. So checked them both, and they both look good. So hopefully they will now dose the same amount each day. And what else have I done? The other thing is I got my nitrate reactor, the Coralline, I can't remember the name of it. Yeah, so it's a sulphur reactor basically. So I've got the sulphur beads in there, and I tried to run it from the Versa pump that I showed you last week. So that Versa pump, I found it in my shed, and I was pretty sure it wasn't working, and then I turned it on and it worked. I was like, okay, I know you can't calibrate it, because the software for the calibration just fails all the time. So I tried to circumvent the calibration just by telling it was all good. And it works. It's really annoying. So I tried to do a continuous dose, and it doesn't work at all until I put 30 litres in. Anything above 30 litres, it starts to work. So I tried it, and then I came back out the following morning. So this is the dose to dose into the sulphur reactor. So I just thought it would give me more control. I've put it on the doser. So it's feeding the reactor, and then the reactor recirculates inside the reactor, and then you control the drip rate coming out. And I just thought it would give me more control if I used the Versa dose. So the first night I set it all up, it was looking good, and I came in the morning, it had stopped, and it was sucking air. And then I tried it again. So first I tried continuous dosing on it, which didn't work. You can just set like the rate you want, like 20 ml per, I think it's per hour or something. And it just switched itself off, and then I changed it to dosing a set amount over 24 hours for the second night, and it also just stopped dosing. And it just comes up with a maximum dose error. So I don't know what its maximum dose is, because it won't tell me, because when I look it says there isn't any. So anyway, long and the short of it is, I was tempted to just launch it down the garden because annoying me. So what I've done there is I'm just feeding the reactor with the E-Heim pump which comes with it, which once you've got all the air out of the system and it can just bring water in from the sun, is actually very easy. So I'll probably just leave it like that, to be honest. So I've got the drip rate set to probably 2 drips a second, which is what it tells you to set it at. So I'll just leave it running for a week, and then I'll check the nitrates coming out of it. I'm not worried about stripping nitrates out because it's only for a 1,000 litre tank, and this is over 3,000 litres now. But I want to see if the concept's good, because I like the idea of it, because it tells me that the sulphur beads will last. Well, it actually says for years. I think the thing said two or 3 years. And then all I've got to do is replace the like the calcium reactor media on the top, which is just calcium carbonate, I guess, in some form or another. That's to stop any sulphur hydroxide. I can't remember what it is. It can give off a certain gas anyway, so you need to make sure that doesn't get into the water. So yeah, so I kind of like the idea, because that's a sort of a big set and forget. So I'll see whether it clogs up with bacteria and needs cleaning very often. But it hasn't got any, what do you call it, it's in, got marvellous command of English language. No, like the foam pads, so it hasn't got any of them, it's just got hard plastic drilled grills in it. So I'm hoping it won't clog up too much. Yeah, so potentially I might move over, I might get a bigger one and move my whole sort of nitrate control over to using that. I like set and forget things, really. I mean, probably shouldn't forget it entirely, but I quite like the idea of it. So I'll see how I get it on. I think it's probably going to take a couple of months for it to actually grow the bacteria and get down to producing 0 nitrates out of that water. But I'm in no rush. I'm still using the bio pellets. I'm still dosing the lanthanum. So my phosphates are, I think I tested yesterday, at 1.5. So that dosing into the skimmer seems to be working okay, actually. Yeah, so I think I'm kind of getting there with that, really. So yeah, there's no fish jumping out. Everything in the tank seems fine. I haven't bought anything for ages, actually, to actually go in the tank. I'm going away again in a couple of weeks, so everything will just tick along, hopefully. Trying to think, I have come up, I think, with my final idea of what I'm going to do in the fish room, and it's completely different from what I originally intended. I originally intended to set my 5-foot tank up here, because this is a 5-foot space. I always had reservations because, as I've already said, I haven't got a lot of room in here, and another 5-foot tank leaves me even less space to actually have a workable space to do, just sit down and do my testing and stuff. So I've got a Red Sea Reaper 170 sitting in that shed, which you saw earlier. So I think I might put that up there, because that's only 600 by 500. And so that means I can have the tank there, I can have a desk space next to it, sort of work area space. And I will have the tank there, which is right next to my salt bin, so I can super easy do water changes on it. That tank has got a sump as well, so I'm going to keep it, my initial feeling is I'm going to keep it completely separate from this tank. And my idea is I'm going to try and do coral spawning in it. That's what I'm thinking. So it means I've got to block it all in from all this extraneous light at night, and the day I don't think it's a problem. But so my thoughts are, this is my reasoning behind doing it, right? So obviously I went to Love to Read. I saw Jamie Craig's do his talk on spawning. I've seen it before. I think 2018 was the first time I looked at all of the spawning stuff. I know Richard Ross is doing it in the States. I watch his Reef Beef channel. I've seen him do it. What I want to know is how difficult is it for someone like me, just an average reaper? I consider myself just an average reaper. All right, I might have a big tank, but my skill set, I would place it firmly in just the average reaper. You know, I haven't been doing this for donkey's years. I don't have any contact in the business. I don't know anyone who runs public aquariums. So I have all of the facilities available to me that 99% of hobbyists have. I've got a few friends in the hobby, a couple of LFSs that I go to, and that's basically it. Okay, so I just want to know, how feasible is it for someone like me to get a tank and set it up? I'm going to probably use Millipora, buy some colonies of millies, and get them to spawn. So I just thought I would make a whole YouTube series on from start to finish on. I mean, I've got to be honest, I'm not expecting it to be successful, but I'm not. I mean, I'd like to be successful, but that's not necessarily the goal. The goal is I just want to document just how difficult it is for someone in the hobby to go, I'd like to have a go at coral spawning. So I don't want to spend loads of money. So I haven't. That's not my tank. That Red T7, that Red T170 is my friend's tank, who's asked if he can store it here, and I'm going to ask him if I can set it up and use it while he's not using it to do the coral spawning. I think it's a reasonable size that I can cover it in for blackouts at night, so all the extraneous light doesn't get in there. I already run an Apex, so my feeling is I can get the light set up because you have to run the certain light schedules, sunrise, sunset, you have to program all that. So I'll be going all through that. How easy is that to do? And I will document it. So yeah, so that's what I'm thinking. So I'm not expecting it to be successful. I'm not expecting to have spawning probably next year. I think the whole thing, I'm thinking in my head, I'll give 5 years to it. So it's going to start with setting the tank up. So basically, setting the tank up is going to be exactly the same as setting up any tank. It's going to be an SPS tank, obviously. So I wanted to set it up because it's completely independent from this one. I need to go through the cycling. I need to work out how I can get cabinetry around it to stop any of the light getting in there at night. Then I need to work out how to program. As far as I'm aware, you have to use Apex Neptune to do coral spawning because they have the programming which you can use to change your light setting from sunrise to sunset through the seasonal data, and also to do the temperature change that you need to do throughout the year to also do the seasonal data. I don't know how to do that, so I will also just make a video of how I go about doing that. So yes, I thought it'd just be interesting because it's something I've always, in the back of your mind, and you watch Jamie Craig's and people and Richard Ross goes, this is what hobbyists should be doing. And I was like, all right then, I'll give it a go. And you can follow me and you can even think that bloke's an idiot. He doesn't know what he's doing, which is in certain areas is going to be true, but I'm just going to, approach each part one step at a time and just go through the whole process and just see how feasible it is. I could just end up with a tank full of dead millipora. I don't know. I don't know whether I'm going to need a chiller as well because I haven't looked at the surface temperatures that are going to be needed. I don't really want to use a chiller, if I'm honest. This room kind of stays around 25, and to be fair, when you look at the sea temperature data, if I can get corals from Indonesia rather than Australia. I'm hoping to get Indonesia and millies. Then the baseline temperatures, they look like they're always going to be above 25. So it looks like most of the time. It's a small tank as well. So that is my first, I mean, one of many concerns, but getting temperature now. I think the lighting, I'm just going to get a Radion light and program it. So that's going to be my biggest expense really, because basically the tank's free. I'd get cheap return pumps on it. I've got spare heaters. So my main outgoing cost is going to be the light. I'm hoping that I can just attach the light to my current Apex and the Wi-Fi module and just set it up on its own, and then do the sunrise and sunset values on it. And the other thing is I've got to close it all in, so that, because at night all of these apparatus, all the pumps, they all have little LEDs that don't switch off, so there is quite a bit of extraneous light, and you can't have that for the spawning. So it needs to be completely blacked out at night. So that's something else that gives me issues, is if it's encased in here, is it going to get super hot? Don't know. So yeah, loads of things. Then you've got to look at things like, can I get tuxedo urchins to spawn and raise larvae? I mean, it is incredibly involved. And then once they spawn, what do you do with it? You know, I'm going to have a little space here to hopefully deal with any eggs, sperm bundles, mixing, blah blah blah. But I think that's a long way off. So that's my ideas. That's what I've decided I would like to do, because I'm going to find it interesting. I personally think it's going to be extremely difficult, labour intensive. Yeah, but I just thought, I've looked online and I cannot find any hobbyists doing it. Obviously there are coral farmers doing it. There's people like Richard Ross doing it. They are far from your average hobbyist, aren't they? So I just thought it would be interesting for people that maybe like me sit there going, I wonder how difficult that really is, how attainable that is to do. So yeah, I thought I would just document it. I think it's just something different as well. It's just, you know, everyone just does videos of, oh, I've got a new tank, I'm going to set it up. They get a bit samey, don't they, really? So I thought this would be something different. So I'm not expecting it to be easy. I don't think I'm honestly expecting to get any spawning, really. I mean, I don't know. So anyway, that's my thoughts. That's what I'm going to do. So when I come back from my next dive holiday, I will start the process of setting it up. And I'll probably, I don't know, I don't want to get set into a fixed schedule of videos for it, like I am for these. I'll do one a week, because I'd imagine there's going to be some extended periods of time when nothing's really happening. But that is my plan. So nothing to do with the maintenance of this tank really, but I've been thinking about it for months. I've gone through so many ideas of, you know, I've gone right through from having a tank full of wrasse, a tank full of coral boars, horseshoe crabs, mud skippers, mangroves, everything. I've gone through everything I could think of. I've liked the idea actually of going through and just researching all the different things, and then I've just come back really full circle, because I thought about this probably 2 or 3 years ago, and I was just like, I think it would be good to have a go. I kind of waited because I thought someone else would do it online and would do a full, I mean, the people that I wanted to see do it were people like BRS or another hobbyist that's just, I don't want to say Richard Ross isn't normal, but he's not your average hobbyist, is he? You know, he's got so much wealth of knowledge and so many people that he can pull on. So I don't have any of that. So I just thought it'd be an interesting video series. So that is what I'm going to do. Right, in terms of this week's maintenance, I think I'm done. I can't think of anything else I've done this week. So basically, I've had a leak that I fixed. I'm now running a denitrifier with sulphur reactor. and I've finally come up with the idea of what I'm going to do with this extra tank. Yeah, so I think that. So I will see you on the next one.